Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Johnson. I thought I'd make a little video to teach you some stuff this week for cell structure and function. We're going to start with a review of characteristics of life, levels of organization, and cell theory. And then I'll hop into what we need to do this week. All right, I'm going to start with a piece of paper here. Okay, so we have been working on characteristics of life for a while, and let's see if we can remember what they are. So characteristics of life. We had 6 in our book. The first one is that things are organized, which means they are built of cells. The second thing is that living things have growth and development. Living things start out as a single cell, and then they build more cells, and then even after an organism is born, it's not the full adult size. It has to develop over time. Living creatures can reproduce, meaning they can make new ones of themselves through reproduction. Living things respond to stimuli. And you can see this in plants when they grow toward the light, or an organism goes toward food. And the next one is homeostasis. Homeostasis is a word that means that an organism tries to maintain a stable internal environment. And the last one is use of energy. Now, the assignment that went with this from a few weeks ago was, are robots alive? And you read the passage, and then you had to check on whether or not the evidence was a characteristic of life. What you needed to realize in that assignment was that in order to be alive, you have to have all of the characteristics of life to be classified as living. The robot had some of the characteristics of life, but not all of them. The robot wasn't made of cells, and it also couldn't grow and develop. Yes, there were new ones. Yes, it responds to stimuli. Yes, it used energy, but it didn't have all the characteristics, so the robot was not living. The next thing that we studied was levels of organization. All right, with this, I'll put a little box around this too. With this, we learned that the cell is the basic unit of life, and if you have a group of cells, that is called a tissue, and those cells would do a similar function. If you had 2 different tissues that work together, then that is called an organ. I colored these in to show you that it's a different kind of cell. But you have these 2 groups of cells working together, and that forms an organ. And groups of organs that work together form an organ system. So, example, think circulatory system or digestive system. All right, and then all of the systems working together form an organism. Okay, So that's levels of organization. And then from there, we went to cell theory. The cell theory has 3 parts. The first part is that all living things are made of one or more cells. The second part says that the cell is the smallest unit of life. And then the third part of cell theory says that all new cells come from pre-existing cells. We had some names of people that were involved in writing this. The first person we studied was Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke discovered cells to begin with. Using his microscope, he looked at cork cells and he coined the word cell. Then Anton van Leeuwenhoek built a more powerful microscope and he looked at all sorts of things like protozoans and bacteria, and he called those things animalcules. Then about 1838, 1839, 2 guys worked together, Schleiden and Schwann. Schwann said that animals were built of cells, and Schleiden said plants were built of cells, and that's where this part comes in. All living things are made of one or more cells. And then Rudolf Virchow said that all new cells come from pre-existing cells, and that was like 1855. All right, so this is the review. This is what we've been working on: characteristics of life, levels of organization, and cell theory. The new stuff that we're going to work on this week is cell structures, all right, so we're going to be working on cell structures, and the main word for this is organelle. And an organelle is a membrane-bound structure in a cell that performs a specific job. An example that you know about is nucleus. The nucleus is the control center of this cell. All right, guys, that's what we're going to focus on our lessons this week. So I'm going to go show you what those look like. All right, let's go to Schoology. Our work is in week 7, Cell Web Quest and Model. Those are the 2 assignments that we're going to do this week. We watched a video in class called Amoeba Sisters Introduction to Cells, the Grand Tour. You absolutely need to watch that. It does a really good job of explaining the organelles. Then on the second day this week, I'm going to present the PowerPoint cell organelles. You can read it here. It is narrated by Mrs. Shuttleworth. You can listen to that. And then our 2 assignments, assignment 1 is to do the Cells Alive web quest, and there is a worksheet that you can do split screen with and type on it. So I'll show you the website here. Cells Alive website. I'm not on the portal, so I need to log in here real quick. Okay, so here's the Cells Alive website. And for the worksheet, you're going to be using the interactive cell models, plant and animal cell, and you're going to click on that, and it takes you to this page that has all the organelles listed. But I want you to hit Start Animation. And then choose Animal Cell to begin with. And then as you're working through your worksheet, you can see the organelle that you're looking at. Like if you click on this, it says it's the nucleus, or that says the nucleolus, but let's go back. All right, so you can click on the words and it takes you to the different parts of the cell. If you go hit the animal cell, it takes you back. So if I click on the outside, that's what I wanted to do. If you click on the outside, it points to the nucleus, and then it gives you the description, and you're going to draw and answer the questions. Let's say you wanted to look at a chloroplast. You click on that, beep, it says, nope, animal cells do not have a chloroplast. So if you want to see a chloroplast, you hit plant cell, and then you can either go by the word or press on the structure. And so it shows you what it looks like. All right, so you're going to use this website to read about and draw these different organelles on your web quest. Your web quest is under the yellow pencil. All right, so you're going to hit that, and then you have to say View Attachments. Then you're going to click on Cells Alive Doc. And then remember, you have to save yourself a copy, right? If you start typing on here, it loses its formatting and all sorts of weird stuff. So you hit the Export button in the upper right-hand corner, and you say Save to Files. And remember, you go to your science class, and then you hit Save. I already have it there, so I'll say Replace. All right, then you have to go back to your file, and then you're going to open up Cells Alive Doc, and it should keep the formatting and let you type into it. Okay, so you don't have to do anything in the first column. That just has the name of the organelle. The second column is where you're going to use the website, click on the organelle, and you're going to fill out this fill in the blank, and then over here it says Sketch. So you can either sketch with your paint tool, your drawing tool, if you want to, you can do that. So I'm going to draw a nucleus here, and the nucleus has a nucleolus in it. And then you would label nucleus, nucleolus, and then you've got the genetic code in there, the material. So I'm going to draw some chromatin, and so then you would label that. Okay, so you can do that, or if you want to print it out and hand draw it, you can do that too. All right, so then let's go and talk about the second assignment. The second assignment, assignment 2, is cell model assignment. You are going to be building a model, and you can use all sorts of stuff. I don't want you to buy anything. You can use rocks, buttons, string, Play-Doh, paper, food, beads, anything works. So you're going to create a model of the cell, and you're going to label the organelles. And so for the directions here, I have listed the organelles that you need to have. You need to have at least 8 organelles. If you choose to do the plant cell, you could include chloroplasts in this cell wall. Those 2 are not in the animal cell. And then for your submission for this, you are going to take a picture of your model labeled, or you can make a little video telling me about your model. So for the grading for this, you're going to get 10 points for having the 8 organelles in your model, and then you're going to get 10 points for having your model labeled, either a key or tiny flags. And you also have to tell me, is it a plant or animal cell? That's important. And then you're going to get 10 points for being neat, organized, and spelling on this. I'm going to show you some examples. And if you come down here, examples of projects. Well, guys, I guess a couple of them are blocked here at school. You know how I can't remember that. So here's two examples that aren't blocked. These two are made out of food. The other two examples that I had in here were paper-based models. You do not have to use food. You can use paper, or you can use pennies, or you can use kidney beans, whatever. But the key thing is that you need to have little flags, or you can have like a key to show me like a kidney bean is a mitochondria, or a penny is a nucleus. All right, guys, I hope that helps you figure out this week's assignments. Have a good week.